Hey, can you see me?
Yeah, can you see me? Someone walked right through me back there.
We might be dead. Are we ghosts?
How could I have done something like this to myself? What was I thinking?
I know, I was thinking I could have done something different too.
I wish I could have talked to somebody.
I think there are places that we could have went.
Can you show me?
Sure.
The ghosts travel further. Will we see more of the ghosts?
Yeah, we were able to use the concept of the ghost to do a bit of a walkabout to key services. And so they've gone on this journey and they actually become the eyes of the viewer.
This is the John Howard Society. Here's another place we could have got some help.
Hey, look, why don't we follow him?
Hi there.
Hi. I just was wanting to look into maybe getting some counseling.
Okay, so you've been here before?
No, I've
No?
never been here before.
Okay, so we do have a couple of people here in the office that could meet with you and tell you a little bit about the program.
Welcome everyone to Where We All Belong. Today we have Vickie Luckman from John Howard Society, North Island, and she manages the Courtenay branch of that society. Thanks for joining us today, Vickie.
You're welcome.
Can you describe the substance use services at John Howard Society in the Comox Valley?
John Howard Society hosts a program which is the Youth and Family Substance Use Services. Youth and Family Substance Use Services is funded by Island Health, and it's part of their substance use services for youth. We have a contract with Island Health to provide services specifically to youth between ages of 12 to 19. We are able to work with young people, young adults older than 19, and more we find ourselves working with the young adults. But not only do we provide services, counseling support services to youth, we also are able to provide the same services to families. So a young person may have a substance use issue themselves, or they may be impacted by a substance use issue that one of their parents have, or maybe a sibling has. And the same for the family member. If they have a young person who's experiencing some impact on their life because of the substances that their child is using, they're able to access our services as well. The services generally are one-to-one supportive type counseling, or it can be group counseling as well, because we find that a lot of youth benefit from the peer support rather than the one-on-one counseling, but the one-on-one counseling is available. So it services directly to youth who have substance use issues and their families if they're experiencing an issue with their young person who's using substances. And we can work with the families even though the youth might not want to access our service. We support the schools as well by providing information and education and connecting with the schools to do group work with them, and work with a number of other agencies in the community around substance use and youth and families. Mm-hmm. But I also have to say, part of the substance use issue or the substance use program is not just the outpatient counseling, but we also have care homes on the North Island that are part of the detox or withdrawal management program. So it's a 7 to 10 day withdrawal management program where the young person lives in a care home, and they have access to up to 3 months of supported residential care as well. And those care homes are part of a system of similar care homes that are up and down the island that are hosted by Island Health as well. Mm-hmm.
So you've talked a bit about that your services for both youth and their families. How would a youth themselves or their family members access the services?
Both youth and families can self-refer, so they can pick up the phone and call us. They can walk into our office. Kids sometimes will access us through their schools. So the school counselors, as well as the youth and family counselors at the schools, all are aware of our services. We provide outreach service, or in-reach service, I guess, to the schools. So we're often at the schools and we can connect with the kids at the schools. So sometimes the school counselors will make a referral to us. The kids can come in to see us. Sometimes what's really nice is when we have a young person who has had access to our service, or maybe has a brother or sister that has had access to the service, and they refer their friend. You know, they say, hey, this person is, you know, a great person to connect with, Wendy or Gary, and you really need to meet them, and they can help you out. And so when we get the referral from another youth, that's a huge kudo to the program. That's basically how people would come to our program, either through school, through themselves, through their family, through a friend. Those are the majority of the ways that kids or families can access us.
So what are the hours of operation of your service?
We're open Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. We are closed from 12 to 1. Those are the office hours, though. Our services are available whenever the young person or the family might need the service. Our counselors have very flexible hours, and so they can meet a young person before school, although that might not happen very often, not before school. But we can meet with parents or kids on lunch hour. We can meet with kids at school. The schools are really good with making time for us to be able to meet with kids. We can meet with them after school. We can meet with the family after work or early evening. So the hours are really quite flexible. It's really based on the need of the young person and the family.
Is there a cost for your service?
No cost at all. All of the services that I've just talked about, including the detox withdrawal management program and the supported residential program, are free to any youth that need to access those services.
Do you have a wait list at all, or?
Our wait list goes up and down, and it seems to be certain times of the year that our wait list increases. And typically it's spring before summer comes along as well. And the way we manage the wait list is our staff work really hard to be able to see all of the kids at some point. So we don't like to carry a wait list. The wait list usually looks like we provide service to the kids, but it might be more of a brief service where we're able to just check in with them and kind of maintain them until we can spend more time with them. We may also connect them with one of their school support people, or we might connect them with our youth outreach worker, just to ensure that they have support in place while they're waiting to see our counselor a little more frequently. And with our parents, one of the parents, if they access us for service, whether their child is accessing or not, we're able to refer them to our parent support group. And that parent support group has been going for about 15 months now, regular attendance, and we continue to bring new parents on. It's been a great way to be able to provide a service to the parents while the parents get support from other parents. Right. Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that in a little while, so we'll come back to that, yeah.
So this program is called Where We All Belong, and it profiles the spectrum of services for substance use in the Comox Valley. How would you say the youth substance use services at John Howard would fit into that theme, or does it?
I think it fits into the continuum of substance use services in the Valley. I think that, you know, if I think about an adult in the community who may be accessing substance use services through the adult clinic or may not be needing support in their lives, that they may have at one time had service as a young person, as a youth. They may have been through our doors at some point. And so I think that, you know, when I look at the continuum of services, the services that are available in the community, I see the youth services as being at that early end of the continuum. And so we may be providing service to kids who will go on to the adult services, or maybe we'll be able to, you know, support them to the point that they don't need to access the adult services. We also, as far as the continuum goes, our services interact with the adult addictions clinic. And so as we have kids who are ready to transition into the adult services, we have an agreement with one another that if the young person is ready for their service, we'll transition them over. But there may be times that the young person is not quite ready for the adult services. They need to, it's a benefit to them to stay with the youth services. So we'll hold on to them for a little bit as we prepare them to transition to the adult services. I see that's where we fit on the continuum. We're kind of on the early end, and yet we interact with other services down the continuum.
We've just got a couple minutes left. So is there anything else you'd like to say that about the youth services, substance use services in the Comox Valley with John Howard that maybe we haven't talked about?
I think one of the important things for whether it's parents or kids to know is that when they come to us for service, the service is free. The service, we're flexible with hours, but we're also flexible with approach. So our services really depend upon who it is that's in front of us. So whether it's a young person or a parent, our service is designed to meet their needs, to build on their strengths. We really look at, you know, they may have come to us because there's a problem that's occurring in their lives, and we look at what is working well as well. It's important for us to help them to see that there's a lot of good things going on in their lives, and so to build on their strengths and use those strengths to move them forward. As well, you know, we have young people that we might see 13, 14 years of age, and they're not ready to make a change. But it's really interesting to watch them through their lives as they come in and out of service with us. And even when they've left, when they've aged out, they may be 19, or 20, 21, we've had kids come back to us and say, I need your help. Can you help me access the adult services? Or can you help me now? So I think it's really important for people to know that we are free, we're confidential, we're flexible, and we base our service on what fits your needs, what fits the young person's needs.
Vickie, if you could describe a compassionate community, what would that look like? How would you describe that?
I think a compassionate community to me is about having concern for people in the community and caring about people in the community. I think sometimes we see people that are different than us. They look different than us. They maybe talk different than us. They have lived a different kind of life than we have. And I think sometimes we can be a little bit reserved or hesitant or fearful. So I think that if we were able to approach people in a way that was just very warm and friendly and caring, I think there'd be a lot more room for connection with one another and a greater sense of belonging. And to me, that's what a compassionate community is.
Well, thank you so much for sharing about this vital service in the Comox Valley. Many people might not be aware of that there are youth substance use treatment programs available. So thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
We heard earlier from Vickie about John Howard's youth substance use services, and we have the good fortune just now of being able to talk with Gary, who is a worker at John Howard Society with the substance use end of their programming, and who runs the parents group that we mentioned earlier, and with Patty, who has attended that service. And for confidentiality purposes, we won't be showing Patty's face, but we'll be hearing from her. And her really valuable contribution to an understanding of what the Parents Program is all about. So Gary, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Parents Group?
So we're getting more and more feedback from other parent groups in the Valley that they were finding more and more parents whose children were battling with substance use issues, and they felt that they didn't really fit in that mold that was created for the parent group. So we started this parent group that was specifically for parents whose teenagers are battling with substance use issues. And so it's primarily a support group for parents. And I think that's the biggest part that we offer is parents support each other. They create a non-judgmental, safe space where they can all air their issues and the problems that they're encountering on a day-to-day basis in their households. And then from that we provide some education on various issues like how to understand certain behaviors, what these behaviors are, what the youth may be trying to communicate through that behavior, and then how to respond to that behavior. So education is power, and so we're giving them this knowledge of where the children are coming from, helping them to understand what substance use is, what substances are, what they can do to the brain, what behaviors may result from an abuse of these substances. And then we go into other issues too about a lot of self-reflection. I think as a parent, we have to look at ourselves. We have to take the high road. We are the more emotionally mature person when it comes to the relationship with our youth. And therefore, we need to look at our stuff, what we bring into that relationship, like our physical state, our mental state at the time, our mood, our rule book, and that's a big one too. We look at our conditioning, what we bring in from our childhood and our upbringing, and how that affects the way that we react often to the things we don't want to hear from our children. And we found a tremendous results from that. The improvement, firstly, in the relationship with the parent and their child. And so often then the child stops doing things against their parents so much and doing things more for themselves. And that's the start of it. And like I say, it's a very, very reflective process that we go through. The parent group starts off with a relaxation and a short meditation. We do some breathing exercises. Often parents have gone through a lot of crises during the week and they're not in a very relaxed state when they come into the group. So we try and get those brain waves down a little bit, just so that they're more in an open, receptive state to accept new information and maybe let go of the rigid ideas and opinions that they may have been holding on to that weren't working for them. And so after that, we go into the topic of the evening. We share some education on various topics, like I mentioned before, codependency, parenting without power struggles, and then we just open it up to the table, and we have an open discussion. Parents then bring their relevant issues surrounding that topic and things that have worked for them, things that haven't worked for them. And then after that, we always end with positives. And that's my favorite part of the evening, is because we really hear the results then. And other parents, especially the new parents that are there for the first night, they hear parents that have been coming for weeks or months, and they start hearing the light or hearing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that gives them so much hope, and that's what keeps bringing them back is that hope, seeing that there is change, there can be change, and change has to start with you.
I'm just going to go over to Patty, because this is a beautiful description of the dynamics of the structure of the group and so on, but I'm curious, what does that feel like?
The number one thing, I think, just coming into the group, I think being around other parents that have similar concerns, as myself with parenting kids in today's world, was the feeling like you are not alone. And I think even for all of our kids, we see some of these, crazy behaviors, and in their mind, they're the only one going through what they're going through, therefore nobody can understand and they won't open up. Well, that's not just the case with our kids, that's the case with us as parents. So sitting around a table once a week with other parents who, when you're speaking about what you're going through, they're nodding and yeah, been there, done that, how did that work out? It's actually very encouraging, and it allows you then to start to really let go of some of your fears and inhibitions maybe, and as Gary was saying, start to look at yourself. The biggest thing that I've learned from this is, the precept is we're all going there because we've got these troubled kids, but what we come out of there is realizing, okay, what's my part in this? And actually the best thing I can do for my child is to seriously take a look at myself, learning many things, like from normal developmental stages to the importance of attachment and how that can be stressed with certain episodes in life, like divorce or separation of some sort, and just understanding kind of how your child or teenager's brain is growing and how it perceives differently from the adult brain helps, I think, the adults in the room to realize, okay, yeah, like that is bizarre for us from our perspective, but from a 14, 15, 16-year-old perspective, that's really how they're perceiving with what they have to work with at the moment. Truly, we all think we just have these kids that are out of control, when in reality it's what our part is so vital to helping them. And parents don't know that. They just think, I've got this out of control kid. What do I do? Somebody fix my kid. And really it's the parents need the knowledge, they need the science, they need the understanding so that they can actually help their child.
You have a powerful message and way of describing your experience at this group that you've been attending. I'm just going to ask each of you in turn maybe to if you could describe a compassionate community, what would that look like to you? So Gary, how would you describe that?
It's a community that talks about and works on issues that are impacting the community in a negative way, and so break down the stigma. And with that reduction of judgment, then we can really start to address the issues. People feel safe and secure and confident to access all the services that are available in the community.
Thanks. Patty, how would you describe?
I agree. I think communities include all generations, and I think we can't just target one generation, that from kids to parents to the elderly. And I think addressing something like empathy when kids are little, rather than just discipline and punishment, going the road of how do you think that person would feel, or how would you feel, starts them thinking that way. And so then when they see other people, whether they're a parent or a family member or an elderly person, they have that kind of philosophy, rather than the world just revolves around we, which is what most children are used to thinking. So I think a compassionate community would include all the members and just teaching them how to be good citizens.
So quickly the phone number and we'll wrap it up.
250-338-7341, and we're at 1455 Cliff Avenue. And you can find out information about our youth and family substance use programs at our website, which is JHSNI for John Howard Society North Island.bc.ca.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.